own personal transformation. You are being inspired and empowered even as we sit here, or I stand here right now. So I want to talk a little bit about the decision for this month. This month, we're celebrating this ability to nurture ourselves and nurture others, especially in this period of transition. So each Sunday this month, we're doing a themed topic, just like Bill said, that's going to assist you, hopefully, in inspiring and empowering your own personal transformation so that you can show up here more authentically as you. I know that life can get busy, right? This transition has already been a little bumpy at times, right? Trying to get things to make sure they're flowing smoothly like they were before Reverend Ron stepped down. And so I know in the midst of that busyness of life, whether it's doing chores or paying bills or working or whatever life's responsibilities are, that sometimes you can lose track of taking care of yourself. Sometimes you can ignore your own needs. And so by learning, hopefully through some of the practical tools and practices Bill and I will be giving you this month, you'll be called back to that place of self-awareness, of compassion, of laughter, of self-care, so that you can show up more authentically as you. Our hope is that by having what you have and knowing what you have, then you can give. Brene Brown gives some sort of quote, something like this, that you can't give that which you don't have. And so we have to bring our awareness back to ourselves before we can give of ourselves. So that's where we're going to start this month. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about self-awareness. Now, for those of you who have heard some of my talks before, I've spoken about this topic on several occasions. I've even spoken about its relationship to spiritual awareness. And so if you've missed those talks, those messages, please go back and look at those. So today's going to be a little bit different. I'm still going to define self-awareness, but I'm going to come at it from a slightly different perspective today. So self-awareness can be defined as our ability to see ourselves clearly and objectively through reflection and introspection. It's our ability to know why we're feeling the way we're feeling, why we're thinking the way we're thinking, what our intentions are, what our motivations are. That's the journey of self-awareness. What happens, though, oftentimes when we dive into self-awareness? Sometimes our journey into self-awareness can come from a place of negativity, can come from a place of feeling like we're not whole, a place that we're trying to fill in the gaps, we're trying to fix ourselves, we feel broken, we're trying to measure up, we're worried about that, how we're in error. And I think that doing that can be juxtaposed against another way of, another perspective, if you will, into self-awareness. And that's a perspective of positivity, a perspective that you are already divine and you are already whole, and you are just learning how to expand into being the expression of God that you are. That you are discovering more about how you enjoy life and about how you are going to show up authentically as yourself. And so today I want to talk about the positive side of this. Because I know sometimes self-awareness can get kind of a negative rap, right? We think about this inner journey, and we sometimes see it, man, that's hard, that's messy. I don't want to do that. I don't know that I want to deal with that. It's too complicated, it's too emotional. I don't want to adult today. How many of you have ever felt that way? Yet I was reminded this past week during my time in San Diego that our life, our experience into self-awareness doesn't have to be that negative journey. It doesn't have to be an unpleasant task for us. Now I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to admit, because I was asked by several people this morning, how was your trip to San Diego? So there were occasions during this trip where I was overwhelmed. For those who don't know, I am considered level 1 on the autism spectrum, and so I have some sensory issues and other things that I deal with, some anxiety, those kinds of things. And so I was in a new place, an unfamiliar landscape. I had no mental visual map of what was going on, and there were lots, and I mean lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people. Okay? The convention center itself holds over 120,000 people. Now, the last time I was there was 2006, and the convention center space doubled since I was there last. And on top of that, there are all these events happening outside of the convention center that you don't need Comic-Con tickets to get into. So it drew even more people. And so there were times where it was really rough, right? There were times where I had some moments that I'm not too happy about. Moments of confusion, moments of anxiety, moments of frustration, moments where I didn't know where I was at, I'm not really quite sure where I'm going, and I don't know how to get there. And it was really anxiety-provoking for somebody like me. There was no safe space away from the crowds unless you were in your hotel room. So I don't really want to focus so much on what went wrong during my trip, because I know we have negativity bias. As humans, we've evolved into this idea that we need to focus on what's bad to protect us from something bad happening. Well, I don't want to focus on all the bad, negative kind of things that I felt happened during the trip, because I want to remember the trip and all the joyful things, all the fun things that happened. I will simply say that Saturday was not one of my better days on this trip. However, Sunday was a fantastic, absolutely wonderful day. What happened? Why the change? Well, first of all, I didn't go to the convention. So I was sitting there in the morning, and I was okay, well, I can go to this science panel, and this sounds fun, and this sounds interesting, and then I can go over here, and I had my whole schedule, and I'm looking at it, and my husband's supposed to meet somebody for breakfast. He goes down. His person that he's supposed to meet doesn't come. I go down to talk to him before I leave, and I was like, well, I was kind of thinking about going to a museum instead. I started thinking about what I really wanted. I was like, I kind of want someplace quieter, someplace with less people, someplace smaller, a bit more organized, and someplace where I'm not going to have a mental breakdown. And so I decided in that moment, hey, I'm going to go to the Fleet Science Center. And that's where I'm going to be today. And guess what? They have a planetarium. So if you've never been in one of these dome theaters, you've got to go. You need to have that experience at least once in life. They do star shows and IMAX movies on these dome theaters that are just so immersive and so impressive, you actually feel like you're there. And so I knew that was going to be a highlight of this new adventure. Okay, I'm getting away from the convention. I'm going to a new place. I'm still in an unfamiliar landscape, but now I feel it's more manageable. And so I decided not to get one extra movie ticket, but 2 extra movie tickets. And so I saw 3 films that morning, or throughout that day, I should say, about 45 minutes each. And so as I sat in this immersive dome theater, I started to become aware about how joyful of an experience I was having. I started reflecting on that idea. As here I was, watching movies, not about what we can't do, but films about what we can do. Films that show other people who are inspired and empowered and actually making change in the world. So at one point I realized I was sitting there giddy as a school child, and I was like ear to ear smile. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would not have expected that the day before in my time at San Diego. And it was in part because I was watching these people employ these same qualities, this idea of hope, this idea of curiosity, this idea of joy. So I want to share with you the 3 films that I watched. I'm going to do it briefly. I'm not going to share any spoilers with you. They don't have any real plot line, so to speak. But I want to share kind of the inspirational story behind all 3. So in the first film I watched, it was called Cities of the Future. And I watched as adults, teenagers, and even children were coming together to play. They were coming together in curiosity and ingenuity and creativity to take on climate change, to take on helping our environment into the future, to create cities of the future that not only are more energy efficient, but that rely more on renewable energy sources. And I got to see things that are already in the works. Air conditioning units that don't just air condition an entire building, are so efficient they air condition 30 buildings. I got to see things about taxis that are aerial taxis where prototypes are already in place in New York City. I got to see things about using the sun's energy and beaming it down in microwave waves as a way for renewable energy sources. And these are just some of the ways that the world is changing. And I was like, wow, that's really hopeful message. That not only are these things already happening, you have children and teenagers who are wanting to get even more, who are wanting to do even more. And the next film I sat in was called Pandas. And so I watched as researchers and conservationists are coming together to take captive bred panda cubs and hopefully release them back into the wild, to release them back in protected landscapes so that they can actually grow the population of the pandas over in China. And the crazy thing is they are using the same kind of things that we're doing here in the U.S. to rehabilitate and reintroduce black bear cubs back into the wild. That's where they started. They said, hey, there's somebody who's already doing this with black bear cubs. How can we get this system over to you for pandas? And so that's what they're doing. And so during this, I got to see panda cubs and black bear cubs in video playing, exploring, enjoying. And I also got to see the light, the love, the compassion, the joy, the curiosity, the hope that was in these researchers and these conservationists as they're trying to save these pandas. I got to see a message hopeful that we don't often get in our day-to-day lives, especially not if you're watching the news. And the third film I watched was called Deep Sky. I got to watch the planning, the building, the launching, and the unfolding in a kind of way that they do a digital rendering of. Obviously, they don't have video equipment out there where you can see all the unfolding, but all the unfolding of the James Webb Space Telescope. And it was amazing to see all these people from all these different countries coming together with curiosity, a love of science, a love of space, a love of wanting to know what else is out there to create this high-tech instrument. And the data that's coming out of the James Webb Space Telescope is causing these same researchers and scientists to reevaluate their understanding, their theories about the universe. Some of the images that are coming out are just amazing. So if you haven't taken a look at those, go and look them up. But to me, one of the biggest things about seeing this amazing technology taking place, unfolding, and start to beam images back to us, is that this single telescope had over 300 single points of failure. At any one of those points, it would have scrapped the mission. But you had people who were so aware, so wanting this to succeed, have so much hope and ingenuity that it went off without a hitch. It was amazing. And now we're getting some of the best data on the universe that we've ever had. And so these three experiences weren't my only experiences. I also, during my time there, got to learn how San Diego is already using a desalination plant to help with 10% of their water needs. So 10% of their water is desalinated from the ocean. So the fact that when I was there on Sunday then, and Sunday and Monday for the rest of my trip, I'm thinking about, hey, 10% of the water that I'm using is like directly from the ocean. It's not like evaporated, coming through rain clouds, coming through snow sources, right? It's directly from the ocean. But I also got a chance to play. Here I was, an adult, no kids with me, no companions, just me on my own, pushing the buttons, interacting with the exhibits, taking pictures, having fun. And yes, I even caught in what they call a swivel gyro chair. Now this thing looks like a top, so like a spinning top, but it has like a ridge around the base so you actually won't fall over. And you get to get in it and use your momentum to go around. And here I was, a very curious and very brave, I guess, adult in doing this. So I put down my stuff, I get in the chair, and I see another adult is sitting there, and she starts to swivel, and she's like, She got up and walked away. And I was like, no, I'm going to sit here for a few minutes. And I got the hang of it. And then I got to see an adult who actually came, who put down their barriers, sat in it, and said, oh, and started enjoying it with me. And so I got a chance to play. I got a chance to take that hope and that curiosity and that joy and actually experience it in something that I normally wouldn't probably do in a museum setting. So these experiences made me reflect, though. It made me reflect on our inner journey, about how things like play and hope and curiosity, ingenuity, joy, creativity, all these kinds of wonderful ideas that we have are part of our experience into our journey. They're part of our self-awareness journey. And so as part of my reflection, I wanted to see what others had to say about some of this. And so I actually started reading a book that I recommend to all of you. I haven't finished it yet. It's called Hope Rising. And it's by Casey Gwynn, Juris Doctorate, who runs like a summer camp about hope for kids who have been traumatized, who have come out of traumatic childhoods. And by Chon Hellman, who is a PhD, he's a psychiatrist. And they define hope as, quote, the belief that your future can be brighter and better than your past, and that you actually have a role to play in making it better. This is the important part, that you actually have a role to play in making it better, because otherwise it's just a wish. And I wanted to bring this message back. I was like, wow, this is really powerful stuff. How I felt looking back at that museum, that was based on hope. Hope about not just that other people are doing stuff, but that I can go back and I can make a difference. They go on to say that, quote, hope is not about impulsiveness or habit. Hope is about intention. It's about the intention we set, the goals we make, the pathways that we're using to get there, the agency that we have within ourselves. So what happened between Saturday and Sunday? Saturday, I didn't set an intention for the day. I didn't really have much of an expectation about how things would turn out other than my list of things to do, and I got overwhelmed. But Sunday I set an intention that things were going to be better than the day before. And I took the steps to make sure it happened. I didn't just set the intention. I said, hey, I'm doing something different than the day before. So sometimes our journey into self-awareness, yes, is filled with fear, it's filled with anxiety, it's filled with dread. Sometimes we don't want to deal with the baggage that we're carrying with us. I get that. But it is important to deal with that stuff. I've talked about that in previous messages. But I want you to know that self-awareness doesn't just have to be a kind of drudgery, a kind of, oh, do I have to adult today kind of journey. Self-awareness can be a childlike journey if we take a childlike perspective, if we look at it from a place of joy, from a place of hope, from a place of ingenuity and creativity, from a place of, hey, how can I show up and make the world a better place today? So I made the change. I decided I wanted someplace that was quieter, someplace that I could enjoy some science, someplace that was a little bit less of a crowd, a lot less of a crowd. We're talking hundreds, not 100,000. But that's what I did, and I opened myself up. I think that's an important part of this, is not only did I set the intention, I opened myself up to having a better day. Now, Monday was really good too. Monday, my husband and myself went to the zoo, and yes, we're Floridians, but we got lulled into a false sense of security and ended up getting a sunburn, but we still had a great time. It was 70-degree weather, you know, a cool breeze coming off, shaded areas and walkways, and we're like, okay, we're pretty cool. I don't think we need the sunscreen. No, we're good. We came back lobsters. But we still had a great time. But part of that is opening yourself up to a new experience, allowing yourself the opportunity to come at it from a childlike perspective of play and joy and hope and curiosity. I didn't set specific intentions for what kinds of emotions I would feel, for how long I would feel those emotions, for what emotions would come first and second and third, any of that. I just opened myself up to something different. So if you take nothing away from my experience, I hope that you'll think about using this tool of setting an intention. Setting an intention by simply asking yourselves some questions, maybe at the start of each morning. What's going well with me today? What do I want to cultivate more of? What do I want to experience more of today? What's one thing that I can do today to bring myself joy? What is something I'm curious about? What do I want to learn more about today? What's something that makes me motivated? What's something that makes me hopeful for tomorrow? And finally, you can take that information and then say, what kind of intention do I want to set today? What do I want to have today be for me? So yes, at times we might see self-awareness, and the personal transformation process is difficult, right? It can be overwhelming. It can be emotional at times. And I'm not saying ignore that part, because going into your past to understand why you react and why you respond to certain things and why you react to some things and respond better to other things, that's important work. But so is play, so is curiosity, so is bringing joy. So when you approach this world with a childlike perspective, you remember that you have the ability to play. And when you remember that you have the ability to play, you can inquire with curiosity. You can seek out answers with a sense of hope, and you can live from a place of joy. So as I conclude my message this morning, I want to leave you with this loving kindness prayer. May you see and interact with curiosity. May you experience hope and wonder, and may you live with joy each day. Namaste. So I know that was an uplifting message, and now I'm going to ask you to shift your presence down into the center of your being for a little bit as we go into meditation. So I'm going to ask you to quiet your mind for a few moments as we enter that space. So if you will, I'm going to invite you just to close your eyes for a few moments. Allow yourself to get comfortable in your chair. Maybe just allow yourself to do a body scan of wherever you're feeling tension this morning, and just gently release that tension in your body. Maybe you just gently relax your shoulders, put your hands by your side or in your lap. Feel your feet firmly on the floor, but just relax your legs and your back and just allow the chair underneath you to support you. And just take an inward journey with me. What have I come here to be? I want you to breathe into this idea with curiosity. What have I come here to be? There are so many things that we are expressing as, but underlying all of that is the source of our being, this divine presence. Who have I come here to be? So as you shift your awareness and take on this curiosity of a child, allow yourself to know that you've come here to be hopeful. You've come here to be curious. You've come here to be joyful. You've come here to play. Enter the carefree, playful world inhabited by children as you shift from doing to being. Stay present in the moment and be mindful of whatever arises. Allow yourself to respond playfully from a place of spontaneity, of this joyous spirit, this divine presence within you. What do you picture yourself being? Maybe you're singing, dancing, writing, coloring with crayons, running through a sprinkler, building a sandcastle, jumping and falling leaves, or making snow angels. Maybe you're exploring the favorite places from your childhood. Be that camping sites or journeys into fun museum experiences or running around and playing sports. What is that for you? Whatever the season of the year, whatever the season of your life, the power of play will not only make your day more enjoyable, it will positively affect everyone around you. Because life on planet Earth is way too short and way too precious to be taken too seriously. Who have you come here to be? Allow yourself to sit in this place of curiosity, this place of joy and playfulness for just a few more moments this morning. You have nowhere to go, nowhere to be. invite you to take the curiosity of a child and inquire about yourself. What is one thing that you can do today to bring yourself more joy? What is something that you're curious about? What is something that motivates you, that brings you hope? And then I invite you to set an open expectation, an open intention for the day. Be open to it. Know that it's just a phrase, it's just a word. Maybe it's play, maybe it's hope, maybe it's curiosity. And just allow yourself to shift your perspective to that today. Whatever that is for you, and whatever way you want to show up from a place of wholeness, knowing that you are constantly unfolding and expanding into this divine expression that you are. What is your word or your phrase for today? How do you want to express today? How do you want to experience today? I want you to keep this word, this phrase with you in your awareness as you come back from this journey into the play of a child, to the experience of a child. Know that you can return to this place at any moment. You can set this intention any day. You can experience being a child again at any time. So I gently invite you to bring your awareness back to your body, keeping in mind that intention within you. Maybe you wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe you stretch in your chair. Maybe you wiggle a little bit and do a little dance as you bring your awareness back this morning. And whenever you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. How was that this morning? I hope it was just as good as Bill's experiment last week, I hear, with blindfolds. We might be trying that once again. But thank you, each and every one of you, for showing up here today and inviting on this childlike experience with me this morning. So now we're going, thank you. We're going to shift into our giving consciousness. And so I'm going to invite up our ushers and invite up our music team to get ready. And so I just want to say thank you for giving, as you're giving from the heart to the spiritual community. We could not continue to inspire and empower without your financial support, without your participation, without your service. In whatever ways that you are showing up here in this community, I want to say thank you. And so I'm going to invite you to say our offering blessing with us this morning. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And now another wonderful, inspiring song from our music team.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.